So, key question to you this morning. Think about yourself. Why do you have the job you have? Think about it. Why are you coming out of your bed in the morning? What is the passion you have? Is it for the money? I mean, it was an interesting conclusion from your presentation. Or is it the impact you can make in the business? Is it the impact you can make on customers, on your colleagues, on your sector? Think about it. Now, if you think about why you are in business and why you come out of your bed in the morning, hopefully it's the impact. How do you feel about the impact you make? How do you think about it? I mean, the real impact that you make on a day-to-day basis. Is that enough? Is that good enough? How does it position you compared to your colleagues and so on? I was doing some research recently, and I mean, impact is something that's a very important thing for a lot of people, and especially for me and hopefully for you as well. It also is often related to engagement. And the conclusion I wanted to make here, and I'm not sure whether this title is still on there. Can you? There's something falling off the screen. The title is not there. There we go. No? Here we go. If impact equals engagement, there is a lot to fix. I mean, there are studies from, for example, Gallup, and that shows that only 30% of people in the workforce is engaged, meaning 70% is disengaged or actively disengaged, which actually are pulling the car back, which is, of course, not something you want to have. If you look at the people that are engaged, if you're in that category, think about it yourself. If the impact is something that you're proud of, you often feel engaged in your company, and you come to work and you like working. But it's also, for a company, the people that are engaged really drive the value. If you look at a couple of these examples here, first of all, turnover. If people are engaged and they are really think they are making a good impact, they're less likely to leave. The other thing is also that they make less mistakes. They drive higher profitability. They also drive higher revenues. So it's whatever is important to you, the impact you can make as an organization and the impact you can make as a team is typically the impact you can make with the people that are engaged in your team rather than the people that are not. So it's actually, from an HR perspective, very important to move people to that left side. Now, there's a lot to fix. Think about it. The ideal situation for all of us is that we have less of the left side and more of the right side. We want to have less administration. No one likes to do their expenses. No one likes to do timesheets. No one likes to be bothered at the end of the week with a lot of approvals. All these things you have to do it, you have to move it away. We don't want to be disrupted by organizational change. Yes, the leadership is making decisions, and we're taking the company somewhere else. We're driving digital transformation, but don't bother me with it. At least don't impact me with that, so that I get less productive. Administration, inefficiencies, all these things is what we want less of. What we want more of, and I mean, we're talking about people in the people-centric industries, service-centric industries, it's about us. We are hired for our skills, we are hired for our experience. We want to be productive. And productive to me is not something that's equal as efficiency. Productive is something whereby it's about the value you drive. And efficiency is an element of it because you have more time to drive that value. We also want to have more focus. We want to be more creative. These are the things we really, really like. Now that's the ideal situation. Think about what if we could free up, I mean today is the 14th of July. What if the next hour we would free up for all of you? What would you do with that hour? How would you spend it? How would you spend it on customers, on driving impact? We would free it up completely for you. You can do with it. What if we take it even further? What if we would free up 1 hour every morning of the week that you now have freely available? What if we make it even worse or better? What if we would free up every hour of the morning and also one in the afternoon? What is the time? How would you spend that? And that's at the end what the big challenge is all about. Stefan was talking about productivity is the thing that's needed to create a better world, to drive the economy to growth again that we all need. And this is at the end what we need to use technology for, to free up the time for all of us to become more productive and to drive that impact. So think about it. What would that impact be on you? And how would you start to become a better player within your team and let your team drive more value for the things you want to achieve as a group? How would that impact your department, or even bigger, your whole organization? And if you take that to a completely different scale, how would it help you to drive impact in your industry? For a professional service company, how would it help you to compete? How would it help you to drive better value to customers? If you're in the education industry, how would it help you to create more students with success, that they can create a better career in the future? If you're, for example, talking about not-for-profits, how much more people would you help in the areas that they need help for? We've got great customers around the world that are driving all of their energy towards eliminating poverty. They need to have the time to do that. And that's where productivity really starts to help. Think about your industry and how much that impact could really be. Now, the reality at the end is that we all feel that there's too much time and effort spent on not doing enough of the right thing. Even worse, not doing it at all, because we're busy, right? In fact, there was some study which I picked up while doing my research from a company called AdTask, which says 46% of the time is only spent on the things that are really in areas where you have to prioritize your work, which means 54% is wasted. Isn't that crazy? 8 hours in your day, more than 4 hours wasted on things that you don't really need to do. It's crazy. It's meetings, it's interruptions, it's administration, it's things wasted. And we need to really fight it. Now let's talk about productivity. Productivity as a formula. Productivity to me means it's about added value. The added value needs to go up. And you can only do that, well, the productivity really becomes something that is a positive thing if the impact that you use to create that added value is actually going to be lower. The less time you have to put in to make a higher value, that's true productivity. So that's what we have to work on. Now, the productivity in the context of work, if you just take your work and the 24 hours per day and the time that you spend on doing the job that you have, there's a couple of things that happen during the day. You start your day, you work, and you finish your day. Now let's look at it, how smart we have become to really start your day. Because when you start your day, you're still at home. You use applications to be smarter in terms of using your own time. Now a lot of people commute. I mean, and I know also what it is to commute in the Netherlands. This is where I come from. I know what it means when I commute in Spain, where I live these days. It's a completely different experience. No traffic jams for me anymore. That helps a lot. I can actually be more productive. But we started to use applications to become more productive in the commuting part, to work, from work. I mean, I'm not sure whether you know applications like Waze or Uber. When I'm in London, I use Uber these days. When I'm in Singapore, I started using Uber this week. And it helped me to get faster from A to B. When I'm at home and I'm in other places in the world and I drive my own car, I use Waze. And the tagline of Waze is outsmarting traffic together. It's sharing community, and with everybody else contributing to how we commute, I can get faster through traffic and I can get smarter from A to B. And when we look at work, really, the applications out there are great, but we still feel overwhelmed, correct? We still feel overwhelmed with all the things we have to do. Everything is coming our way, small things, big things, and they all come sort of at the same time. They have to go through us, and we have to do something with it. And in the meantime, we also get calls, get requests for meetings, we get interrupted by people, we get emails, and it's like an ongoing thing. Now what if you had an army of assistants? Really, an army of assistants that would just unclutter all of the things you have to do at your work, and do it for you? What if your applications that you're using, the payroll application that you're using, the HR application that you're using, the finance system that you use, project administration system that you use, would be as simple as just ask. Now imagine a request to run a new project. Some companies here in the room run projects for a business, but most of you, of course, are involved in projects in your job as well, whether you're a project company, yes or no. So I think it's an information, or it's something that you get used to. First of all, you have to create a project, which is hard work. You have to think about structures, work breakdown. How are you going to create it? And it takes work, it takes effort, it takes thinking, it takes meetings, alignment, and so on. And then from there, you have to start working your way through, which is, okay, how efficient are we going on with time? Are there any costs that we have to capture on these projects? Expenses from people, maybe. Are there maybe things we buy that need to be part of the project as well? And at the end of the week, we have to forecast, where are we? Are we still on track? Is it still something that's going well? Is it at risk, possibly? So that's the whole track, which is a typical day at the office. Now, let's show that. In the context of what I was just talking about, just ask. Can we switch to my PC? There we go. I was talking about starting the project, and let me log in as James. See if it still comes alive. There we go. Now James is a person that's one of us. He's going to manage the project. And he's asked to drive a project around something. And let's think of an example that he needs to drive a project around a digital assistant. You know, the army of assistants I was talking about, let's make that a digital one. Now in the past, you know, I've never done this before here, but maybe someone else in the organization has done so, but we don't know. So technology here is helping, so it's just asking. And I type in digital assistant. Find projects. And the system will find me all projects around the globe that we have done around creating, well, experiences around digital assistants. Make it a little smaller, so we see more project here. And what it does, it starts to give a lot of context around it already. It starts to give it a bar, it's a green or red or yellow in terms of how many criteria have been matched. Well, it's only digital assist, so the title says it all. It's green all. It gives me information about profitability margin that we had, how many resources we're working on it, how many hours we spent on it. So it gives me a lot of things already from all of the projects around the world that we have done, thousands and thousands of projects. It gives me those projects that rise to the surface about this particular thing. And this was a simple search, but in many cases, if you drive, for example, projects like creating airports or creating roundabouts or whatever the construction work you do, that could be a pretty significant task. Implementing an HR system in Vietnam could also be one. Now, the thing I can do here is to say, I want to set this as a reference. I get more information about the project. I can then start communicating with the project manager. I see the photo. How did you do? How did it all went? I saw it was already a good project, and what I can do is say, okay, I want to take this project as a starting point for my new project. And this is a project for Heineken. So it's DA for Heineken, which starts, well, let's start it next week. And it's for Heineken, come on. It's my favorite company. Sorry, it's not Google, it's the other one. Heineken, here we go. And I say create new project. So out of all the history that we've got in the database, this helps me now with analytics report to ask a question, to get to an answer, and within a minute time, I can create a project. Oh, it's gives me an error here. Oh, something is waiting approval. But then it creates the project for me, including the full breakdown structure based on all the transactions that have been put in the system once. So within less than a minute, 2 minutes, I've done that part of the job. And now the project starts. And now I want to get everybody to start putting in their time and expenses and so on. So for example, I mean, next week it's set. Let me see, on the 18th, this project starts. Let me put a meeting in there for the 21st of Thursday. I need to go and be in the Netherlands. And I have a meeting with these people from Heineken, meeting Heineken. And this is just, you know, Outlook. And it's Utrecht. Okay, here we go. Save. So if someone puts a meeting in there, I'm going to fly to the Netherlands, have a meeting with the people from Heineken, and suddenly you see a tag coming up there. Someone is responding to me, and it's called Wanda. And Wanda is my digital assistant. So Wanda is picking up and says, okay, I see that you are planning to go. Let me see what she's saying. Skype for Business. I see that you're planning to go to Utrecht on the 21st of 7. Do you want me to submit your travel request? Oh, yeah? And then she said, okay, so what's the purpose of the travel? Well, it's a meeting with Heineken. Enter. And then she says, hey, wait a minute. Your last trip to the Netherlands, you spent £480 sterling. And it was broken up by food, beverage, airlines, railway, hotels. Do you like me to use this as an estimate for your travel? And the only thing I say is, yes. And my digital assistant is saying, okay, thank you. I've registered your travel to Utrecht. And it's all done. And now my approval goes to my boss, and the thing is organized for me. Now spin forward, next week. Can we move to the mobile device? Next week, I'm in Utrecht, or at the airport. Is it there? There we go. I had to kind of control my cable here so that it actually comes up. So I'm actually in the Netherlands, and I'm already in the train to Utrecht. And at the airport, I landed, and I was so hungry, so I wanted to have some sushi. So I just take my camera, and the only thing I do here is to create a simple picture. And it looks good. So I say use, go back, and what it does, taking pictures of a receipt is something we've done before. What it now does, it starts to upload the image to the cloud, and some agents are starting to work on this, recognizing exactly what I've put in, processing the image, and coming back to me, if required, with the output of this. So it recognizes everything. Let me see, it's still processing, so let it go. I've had the meeting, I'm going back to the airport, and at the airport I realize, okay, I have to put my time in as well. So I'm using here my friend Wanda again. Let me see, let me delete those. Let me find Wanda. So I say, okay, I'm at the airport, I've had my meeting. In the meantime, they're still working on my travel receipt. So it's time to do, oops, and that's not the right language, it needs to go to English. It's time to do my timesheet. Come on, Wanda. This morning you were working for me. I think Wanda's asleep again. Why does it always happen when I'm on stage? And it's not me, it's also Thomas. It's fascinating. Request timed out. Is the network down? That's an interesting demo again. Can you get back to the demo? It always happens when you really need it. Well, let me do Wanda here one more time then. It's time to do my timesheet, and otherwise I'll just give up and explain what happens. No, she doesn't want to do it. Okay, let's go back and completely to the presentation, otherwise we'll lose too much time. Interesting. Back to the presentation. So let's show it. So what I was going to show is that there is this army of assistants that we are working on to make your life easier. And you can see it's still early days. So we are working on what we call digital assistants, artificial intelligence, bots, agents, that are going to be all over the place. And you communicate with them via a natural interface, like Skype for Business, like WhatsApp, like Facebook Messenger, even Twitter. And that's the natural interface many people use. And using those interfaces, it makes it really simple to have this connection, to have the interaction, and do the day-to-day things in a fundamentally faster way than ever before. Now, that was one element of getting the waste out and the administration out, if it works. The other thing was that you saw that in complex situations where you really make a difference as a project manager or the job that you do, is that we work with technology to amplify what you do, which is all about helping you to focus on what you do best, your profession. Now, how does it work? If you compare this to what we've seen in the car industry, the self-driving cars these days, but it came a long way. In the past, it was all about a car that had manual gear, and everybody was driving that, and we were happy. At some point in time, we got cruise control. Cruise control became a navigation system, and at some point in time, we started to now see self-driving cars where people sit in the back of their car doing their work, and at some point, you are at your destination, and the car has driven you there. And we do the same thing for software like Business World and for ERP. We're going to do things for ProSoft, and we're using a platform to do that. We're working on something that Stefan has already talked about, the People Platform. And the People Platform provides all the technology in there to start doing this, to automate manual tasks, to automate completely away, so that at some point in time, I'm not having to do my timesheet anymore, which I was going to show, but then one day will say to me, I mean, it's Friday afternoon, you've worked so many hours this week, should I just post it for you? Yes. On Monday morning, when I normally am asking for my utilization report, I don't have to ask for that anymore. It will just be in my inbox because an agent has picked up on the pattern and provided me with that report. My expenses are going to be completely recognized, so it's not about entering expenses anymore, but it's about presenting you with, this is likely your expenses report this month, correct? So it's all about these type of things. It's about exception management, whereby all the approvals that you have to make on a day-to-day basis are going to be scanned for you. We take out the ones that are already perfectly okay, 90% okay, and we only provide you with the 10% that really needs attention, for example, to prevent fraud. Insightful decisions, recommendations that you get from the system, it's all about that. So in essence, it's about less user interface over time and more intelligence. We call that also sometimes the best UI is no UI. Why should you work with software? Because of the interface. If there's no UI at the end and you can do the job as well, that's even better, right? So that's what we're working on. Now the impact of that, compared to all the things that we've seen in the past, is going to be really different. We've seen the change from DOS to Windows, from Windows to web, from web to mobile, and it was all marginal changes. It was all about the same screen, just getting a different color, flavor, design, and so on. This is going to be driving the productivity way faster. I mean, one of the things here that I put on is the productivity impact on people is going to be 10 to 15 times faster than we've seen before. Let's just look at something like timesheet. We made a calculation with the city of Oslo, and only for the city of Oslo, this would mean a 9 million euro or a maybe 10 or 12 million Singapore dollar saving only on timesheet. And then we talk about all the other things that we're going to talk about. The other thing is that this is not about efficiency only. This is about completely different impact. The efficiency is important, yes, doing things faster, But this can help with profit optimization, utilization optimization, but far more important, service delivery excellence and competitive advantage. If you can create your project so fast that the analytics help you to create them, and you can start them with more impact, you can help to shift poor projects to the high profitability project in your portfolio, prevent at the beginning to not start these projects that are going to be a failure in the first place, that will be a competitive advantage. I've been talking to professional service organizations showing these type of examples, and they say it would give us an unfair competitive advantage. And that's what technology is going to be about. And another fundamental thing why I think the impact is going to be fundamentally different is because of this one. The speed and ease of broad adoption by all of us is going to be there. It's on. It's as simple as connecting to a friend, connecting to Wanda, and you're in business. That's how simple it is to implement these things. And that's why it's different. And the opportunities are endless. We're thinking about it in the labs, planning a resource. I need a resource. Wanda comes back. I have these people for you. Okay, I want to have a person that can do this, this, and this. Okay, then that is the right qualification. Okay, book it, and done. We don't have to go and speak with people and go through endless cycles. This becomes possible. So when people are sitting at the bar next to you, working on their phone, could be that they're working on Facebook. Could also be that they are very productive, booking resources like this. Another example, I mean, I'm not sure whether you've seen what, for example, Amazon is doing with Alexa. I mean, these devices, this thing in the middle here, becomes something that we all start to become used to. Millions of these devices sold in the first year. And these become scenarios whereby this device becomes something to unify everybody and everything. Starts to speak to us and say, okay, how are you doing with your project? Everyone in the project, and everybody's responding back in natural language, and the project is updated. Another thing, for example, is blending our private life with our business life. I mean, just imagine that. Asking Alexa, how am I doing with my savings account? Well, you got some money on it. Okay, so when is my next money coming in, my salary and my expense claim? Well, let me connect with Wanda. Okay, she's saying it's coming next week in these amounts. Oh, that's great. And now let's book my trip to New York that I wanted to do for so long. Okay, let me ask Wanda as well, to book your travel request and get some approval for that. It's blending. These are opening scenarios that we have not seen before, and they're going to be possible very, very soon from now. So when I started this morning with why are you in business? Is it for impact or for money? And what is the impact you really make? Think about these type of scenarios. What impact can you make tomorrow if you would have this? And what impact could it be on the customers or the students or the people that you serve in your industry? Thank you.